Hi, I'm Mila D'Antonio, Editor-in-Chief of 101 Media, and I'm here at the Gartner 360 Summit in San Diego, and I'm talking to Rhonda Tait. She's the Vice President of Direct Response for Positech. Rhonda, tell us a little bit about Positech.
Hi, Mila. Yes, Positech is a power tool manufacturer. We manufacture power tools under the Rockwell brand and the Works brand. Works is our outdoor lawn and garden line, and of course Rockwell is our power tool line.
Okay, great. So in 2007, you brought the contact center in-house. Can you talk a bit about that strategy behind that?
Sure. In 2007, we were in a very interesting position. We came out with a product that we wanted to have placed on the shelves of the big box stores, the hardware stores, the big retailers. And we took it to them and they liked it, but they didn't want us to sell it to them in our brand. And our new strategy was we're going to get away from OEM private label and we're going to make an initiative to sell branded products. Because in the end, you're only as good as the factory down the street that can make the same private label product that you can, after your contract is up. So we said, we had a really good product and the big box stores liked the product. However, we said no. We're gonna keep it in our brand, and we had to come up with a way to get it in their stores ultimately. Mm-hmm. So we had to creatively come up with an idea, and so the president and CEO Tom Duncan said we're gonna do a direct response campaign. So it's very risky to do that because very few of them actually work. But we launched a campaign in March of 2007 for our Works cordless grass trimmer and edger. And right off the bat, we went from test mode into full-blown launch. It was wildly successful. Within the first 9 months of doing the campaign, we actually sold $43 million worth and ended up shipping 313,000 units.
Wow.
So it was very popular, and my job was to coordinate all of the activities, behind the scenes, as far as the media, as far as, the customer care, the logistics, and how does all of that process and activity happen. So I started to get emails of customers who had purchased our product, and I soon realized I couldn't handle all of those requests myself.
Right.
They got our phone number at the office, and I'd already contracted with a third-party customer care center, and they did a fine job. But the folks at Positech are so committed and involved in their product that we just couldn't stand having someone else actually handle those calls. And I like to use the analogy that you can be the best daycare center in town, but no one's going to love your kids like you love your kids.
That's right.
And likewise, we found that out with the company. So when folks bought our products, no one's going to help them as much as someone who is directly employed by the company. So very early on, we said, you know what? Let's bring customer service in-house. Most companies view that as a liability. However, we saw that as a great asset. And that's why we started bringing customer service in-house little by little over time.
And how many agents do you employ today, and how many contact centers do you operate?
We operate one contact center, but it started with me being the only person in contact with
Wow.
these customers. And now I have a contact center of 48 employees.
Okay.
So there's a call center manager, I've got some leads and quality folks, and there's approximately 34 agents, actually 37 agents on the phone right now. So they're blended. They are taking different types of calls, and we've come a long way from where we were.
Right.
Sure.
I mean, you've mentioned that customer satisfaction is increasing, agent satisfaction, as well as sales and revenue. That's terrific. So can you talk a bit about the strategy and technology behind those numbers?
Yes. As far as the technology goes, oh my goodness, we went from plugging the phone lines into the jacks in the walls to a cloud solution to another cloud solution. And I think it's important to note that not all cloud solutions are created equal.
Right.
Because what we found out was we're actually with Five9 right now. Five9 has been one of our partners since December of 2011. And the problems we were having before we decided to pull the trigger with Five9, which in December of 2011, not many folks actually changed their telephony system in December. Usually folks would say, why don't you wait until January?
Right, because it's probably the busiest month.
It's one of the busiest months, and we had a lot it was very risky because we had a lot to lose. In my eyes, though, I felt we had a lot to gain because the way our system was working at the time, we were losing connectivity. What good is a call center if you can't reach the call center, if the lines are down, if the system is completely down?
That's a key part.
It's a key part. That's exactly right. So in my mind, we didn't have a whole lot to lose.
Right.
And from 1 week to using our traditional old way to the next week on Five9's platform, it was extremely eye-opening. Our call hold times in queue got cut in half. They went from 2 minutes down to 1 minute. It was incredible. We were so perplexed thinking something's wrong. We've been connected all day long. And then we had all week and we said, oh no, something's wrong because we have not gone down all week. So we were so accustomed to just losing connectivity,
right,
which, as you can imagine, created a very negative customer satisfaction level.
Right.
They were so upset. They'd get hung up on, and our systems would go down. And who wants to call in and hear the agent say, "One moment while I reboot my system,"
right,
or
and ultimately that affects sales.
Of course, it affects sales. Yeah. So that was the first thing that we realized in going to Five9's cloud, and it's been about a year and a half. We've actually picked up tidbits along the way, and one in particular, they came out with a solution called the QBack call, and it basically said, you know what, we're busy, can you press 1 and we'll call you back, and we'll even wait for you in line. We'll hold your spot in line. So while they hung up and had coffee or went out to clean their garage, the clock was still ticking on our end as if they had not hung up the phone. So I kid you not, the customer reaction from the 6 minutes of wait time. Now, nothing happened other than the fact that, they were still waiting 6 minutes yesterday. Right. But the difference between the calls was yesterday when we got on the phone, they were, "Are you the only one working? I've been waiting on hold for 2 hours."
Right.
Versus the next day when we implemented this new feature, "Oh, you called me back. Thank you so much."
Right.
It didn't seem like the same
surprise
6
and
minutes.
Delight. Yes.
That's right. So it has just been one thing after the next for the cloud. Just having that connectivity and that uptime to be reliable for our agents and our customers.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like, so with the growth in sales, it sounds like you might be poised to continuing to grow your contact center. What do you have in store for the future in terms of how you plan to evolve the strategy and technology that's in place?
Yes. We actually just tested last weekend with Five9. We also do direct response. So we place ads on television. You see the number flash across the screen and you pick up the phone and you call to place an order. Well, we don't take those orders. We contract with third-party folks that do that because we're not nearly as big enough to do that 24/7. What we did last weekend was we took a segment of time from an airing, an hour and a half, and we jumped in with the other competitors, the folks that were actually taking those calls, just to see how do we match up against them. Can we jump in and create a similar or higher average order value, and how do our conversions match up against them? Because right now I'm paying either a percentage on performance or, cost per minute. Mm-hmm. So I said, okay, if we have a blended structure within
Yeah.
Five9 and the ability to do all of this blending, why can't I recognize a 50% cost savings on the telemarketing side and bring that function in-house? Well, results were our team actually delivered a higher average order value, a higher conversion, and we are very excited to start testing that and to start rolling that out. So there's cost savings opportunities. We're doing, I just feel like we are now finally in the driver's seat with the flexibility that we have within their campaign structure to create new campaigns, to set things up. Their reporting is very easy. Everything's highly reportable. It's just been a breath of fresh air.
Well, in closing, Rhonda, what piece of advice can you offer to others who struggle with connectivity issues and wanting to blend the services that they offer through the contact center?
My first suggestion, number one, would be to, consider who your customer is and how much do you really like them. If you really like your customer, then you should bring your contact center in-house because that's where they're going to get treated the best. Right. That's the first. And then secondly, definitely, you want to be able to utilize those folks across the board. So you don't want someone to be sitting idle while you've got someone, overboard with emails, for example. So if you can blend that activity and you have a system whereby it can take all of that activity and spit it back out to allocate to the next person available, that's my vision of where I want to go next. So right now we have that in our dashboard. We can see one agent will be taking a Rockwell call, then they could change over to a Works call, and then the next moment they could be answering an email. And even in slow times, we develop campaigns for helping our retail departments. So there's always something to be done, and you can find ways to quantify that. As far as your overhead cost, just by virtue of helping out your departments and coming together as one company and a team.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Rhonda.
Thank you, Mila.